Welcome to Lead Full Circle. Today, episode 11, The Ripple Effect, Why Positivity Changes Everything. But before we begin, on my YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, and comment. And also a reminder, my website at leadfullcircle.net, a lot of valuable resources. You can find every episode that comes out weekly. So again, leadfullcircle.net. Now let's dive in to this topic of why positivity changes everything. Let's get started. We've got to understand the importance of ripple effects. In leadership, in family, the words we choose create ripples. So what kind of words are we choosing? When you think about this, think about a rock. You throw it into the pond. It creates ripples that goes out a long way from where the rock hit the water. That rock could be heavy. The rock could be light. You could look at it now as that rock it could be positive. It could be negative, but no matter what, it still sends out ripples. It still sends out major effects when that rock hits the water. So are you sending out positive ripples, or are you sending out negative ripples when you throw your rocks, when you use your words, when you talk to people, when you approach people? How does that relate to you at work and within your family at home? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So as we focus on the positive, this is what really helps build your culture at work, within your family, in any area of life. There are three important teaching points I want to go over today. But before we get to those three teaching points, some things I want to just bring to your attention, some questions to think about. And I want to start with this. How many of you can remember a time where you were criticized? And it may have been a long time ago, but it still sticks with you today. Well, and how many of you can remember a time you were just encouraged? And it may have just been a one or two word encouragement from somebody, but it gave you the courage that you didn't even know you had at the time. So that's the important thing to think about when you think about the ripple effects of the words that you use, the words people use. It can make a long-term impact on an individual. So the words we use to others is so important and so critical to think about how we talk to people. So a principle to think about with this topic: what you celebrate becomes the culture you create. Let me say that again. What you celebrate becomes the culture you create. Now, I know there's a balance. You've got to have a balance of correcting and focusing on where you need to improve. But we cannot forget the importance of praising and celebrating those moments where we can bring in some positive momentum. We've got to always remember the importance of being positive and being encouraging and celebrating those moments. It's hard, I think, sometimes as leaders, because we get focused on correcting issues, fixing mistakes, whatever it may be in that area. But that can't be all that we do. We have got to remember to celebrate the positive moments and encourage people we work with, encourage people we live with within our family. That is so important. So there is a balance there, and I understand that. But also today is an emphasis on don't ever forget about being positive, about encouraging others. When you think about work, an example that I think about with my position, if all I do is correct mistakes and correct issues, I think you can create a fear-driven culture where everybody would be on edge and just be kind of scared to do this or that because they're afraid they're always going to get corrected. And again, there's a time and a place for that. But if that's all we do, that's all we talk about, then that's the culture we're creating. We're creating a fear-driven culture. So it's important that you celebrate what you're trying to create within your culture. You find those positive moments that you can focus on within your work. So if you're trying to take time to celebrate collaboration, creativity, work ethic, effort, great attitudes within the building, man, make sure you find a way to celebrate those moments when you see it, when you hear about it. Celebrate the positive times. Don't just focus on the mistakes and the correction and the issues that you have to fix. Make sure we focus on the positive moments. Now, think about your home and your family. If our kids, if we're praising their kindness day in and day out, praising their good attitudes day in and day out, that's what they're going to start thinking about and focusing on, and become a kind of who they are, because they're hearing it from us and hearing us praise them and encourage them in that area of their life. If all we do is correct our kids day in and day out and we never praise them, I think within our home with our kids, they start becoming very defensive. And again, that can create a toxic culture at times. So we have to make sure, yes, we correct our kids, but we've got to make sure we find the time to encourage them and praise them. It's so relevant with me and Caroline. I've noticed over the past couple of years with her, I've missed many opportunities to praise her and encourage her. When I just think about her playing softball at a young age, 7U, 8U softball, now she's involved in volleyball. I have to make sure I do a good job of finding something to praise her on, to tell her, you know what, Carol, I'm so proud of the attitude you had tonight. I'm so proud of how hard you tried. You tried your very best, and that's all we can ask. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. So you've got to make sure within the time that you're correcting your kids and trying to fix the mistakes, you've got to make sure you find the time, find an angle where you can praise them and encourage them and tell them you're proud of them. They need to hear that from their parents. So now I want to talk about 3 practical teaching points that we can apply to the topic of positivity builds culture. So the first teaching point is this: make sure your celebrations are visible. So there's a lot of ways to do this, a lot of ways to look at this. At your workplace, it's simple. Talk about it. So when you have team meetings, when you have meetings within the people you work with, in the building you work with, when you have those type of settings, bring the positive moments to their attention by simply talking about it. If you don't ever talk about it, if you don't ever celebrate it, people will never think about it. They'll never know about it. So you've got to bring it to their attention by simply just talking about it in those meetings, in those team meetings, whatever that looks like in your workplace. I also think there's nothing wrong with posting things on social media that is positive, that brings a positive light to your workplace. Celebrate those things on social media. Post it. Make it known to people all the good things that are going on. I think that's a big deal because social media, unfortunately, a lot of times is focused on the negative, all the negative comments. People are trying to be, or can be, keyboard warriors, as I call it. But man, post those celebrations, those positive moments on social media to make it a big deal, as you should. Now, kind of switching to your family and home life, some things I think you can do within your family that tie into this of making celebrations visible. I heard this the other day. I thought it's a great idea. Praise boards. Post a praise board somewhere within your house and keep up with maybe weekly praises or monthly praises. And it's visible. You see it daily, and it's a great reminder of all the positive things going on within your family. You could keep maybe a praise journal where your family writes down praises throughout the week, throughout the month. And then as a family, you go back and revisit that and just look at it and think about all the things you have to be thankful for as a family and all the positivity as a family that you've had that week, that month. And again, it's just a reminder of how important it is to celebrate those positive moments within your family, with your kids, with your spouse. Don't forget to do that within your family. So now the second teaching point, I think this is important. I think this is something we can overlook easily at times, but here it is. Replace sarcasm with being sincere. I think a lot of times leaders may try to use humor, may try to be sarcastic about the way they encourage people or are positive to people. And I think that can backfire on you a lot. So we have to be careful with that. We have to be intentional in how we encourage people, because if you're using humor all the time or being sarcastic in how you praise people, I think over time they may start thinking, is he or she really serious about what they're telling me? Or are they just kind of joking about this? How serious are they about their encouragement they're giving me? So don't use sarcasm to encourage people. Make it very sincere, very direct, very intentional on how you encourage the people you work with, and the people you live with. So the third practical teaching point is this. As leaders, you have to model what you want to be multiplied. So think about your family. If you want your family to be grateful, as a leader of the house, you better be the most grateful voice in the room. Let me say that again. If you want your family to have a sense of being grateful for things, then you as a leader better have the most grateful voice in the room. Don't be a hypocrite and expect things, but then you don't model it. I think about me at work. I really try to walk this walk every day and talk this talk every day as far as how you treat people. I read a book years ago, and I still revisit it a lot, actually. It's called The Energy Bus, written by John Gordon. And within that book, he talks about energy vampires. And an energy vampire, according to him, is someone who sucks the positivity out of people because it's how you treat people, it's how you approach people. So don't be an energy vampire. Don't be someone that's always critical, that's always negative. You've got to find the angle and the way to breathe life into people, to be positive, to build them up. It's all about the relationships and how you treat people. So you have to, as a leader at work, you have to model what you want to be multiplied. So really take time to think about where you are as an individual at work and within your family and what adjustments you need to make in this area. One last question I want to end with is this, a great time of reflection. Think about to the day yesterday or your last day at work, whatever it looks like. The last person you really truly had a deep conversation with. Did you leave a positive, lasting impact on that individual with the conversation you had? Or did you create a negative ripple effect by that conversation you had with the individual? So again, just a way to think about and reflect on your conversations with people, how you treat people, and the importance of creating positive ripple effects with the people you work with and the people you live with. So thank you for tuning in and watching today. I truly am grateful that you're taking time to listen to each episode and watch and apply it to your life as a leader. Again, a reminder about my website, leadfullcircle.net. A lot of good resources, free practical guides to apply to every single episode. So go check it out if you have not already. But again, thank you for just making it important as a leader to grow and improve in all circles of life. And as I always say, lead well at work, but even better at home. And I'll see you next week.